Hello, everyone. It is Wednesday, and welcome back to our global real estate series. I'm Stephanie, the co-founder of Airdomo. And last week, we talked about the blue zones. We talked about those rare regions where everybody feels so much better. They're consistently living longer. They're living healthier lives. That teaches us about choosing where we want to live, where we want to invest. And today we're going to go a little bit deeper, okay? We're going to talk about the principles behind the blue zones, community nature, but we're also going to talk about wellness real estate, because that name has been around for a while and everybody thinks that just means a spa. But it's actually now becoming one of the fastest growing segments in global property, not just a niche, but not just a marketing label, but a genuine shift in how we are doing business and how buyers are looking at property. They want to go where they feel well and rejuvenated. And today we're going to unpack that. But most importantly, you're probably looking at the screen going, who is this dude next to Stephanie? Because we've not seen this man before. Well, you've always heard me say co-founder of Airdomo. Well, guess who this is? This is Charles, the other co-founder. Charles, thanks for coming out behind the scenes and being the star of the show.
I came out from the hidden corners because this is such an important topic, and I love this topic, and I love what you did with the blue zones. And you're right, this is just the perfect kind of continuation of it, because wellness real estate has just taken off as its own category that is just transcending everything else around it, it seems like right now. And it sits right at that intersection of lifestyle, of investment, of long-term value. And it's just become a white hot sort of subject. And I think it's perfect time for us to dive into it. And I think we can both think back to a time, like you said, when wellness was kind of like a nice to have, right? If you had a luxury development, a residential project, you're going to have a spa, you're going to have a gym, you're going to do some things like that. You're going to check the boxes. But now it's something totally different. It is built into the DNA of some massive projects going on globally, where wellness is the reason these things are being built. They're the reason people are lining up to buy them. So like you said, it's a huge global market. It's almost 550 billion right now. It's going to be $1 trillion by 2029. So this is where it's all coming together. And I'm like curious to kind of hear from you. What do you think how do you define wellness real estate?
Well, at its core, wellness real estate, it's intentionally designed and operated to support the health and well-being of people living there, right? But that shows up in so many different ways. Air and water quality, filtration, ventilation, materials that don't off-gas, natural light. The design, the access to outdoor space. What is there to do there? What are can we go hiking? Can we get access to water? Whatever that case might be. It's movement built into the environment. Walkable layouts. You want to be able to walk to dinner. You want to be able to walk to the gym, right? You want to have trails. You want to have stairs that invite use. Okay, so the community is designed with shared spaces that encourage real connection. It's not just having that lap pool that everybody sits around, right? It's not just about the transaction. So it's not just one simple feature. It's a full-blown philosophy applied to the building and the architecture that's inviting in so many things that people can go there and retreat to. It's more than just the spa as well, because you've got people that, they've got yoga centers, or they will have, quiet places, but quite a bit of different features. And we've got so many of these on Airdomo, which is what I love about it.
Yeah. And it's not just ultra luxury, right? I mean, you mentioned the blue zone, where it's baked into the culture, it's baked into the climate. It's there by itself. It doesn't need a branded residence to wrap around. You can just find it there. And in places like Algarve, where you can get into a Marriott or a Westin sort of wellness themed property for 300, 400,000 euro. So it's not, it's accessible, obviously super desirable. Like, what's behind this, the exploding growth besides just the accessibility and the desirability? What's really pushing it, do you think?
Well, I think there's a few forces that are happening. And so first, the post-pandemic shift didn't reverse the way some people, expected. Health, space, air quality became permanent priorities for large groups of people. Second, remote and hybrid work. that is still reshaping where people choose to live. And if your home is also your office, your gym, and increasingly your social life, the quality of that environment matters far more than it used to. And third, there's a generational handover happening, right? The biggest wealth is moving from the older generation to the younger buyers, and increasingly parents are buying for that next generation. Hey, my parents, if they're watching, you haven't bought me anything yet, so listen, okay? I mean, we're the parents, they're putting health and lifestyle on equal footing with appreciation and yield. And we talked about that last week with the blue zones, right? Our our long time way of living is just as valuable as ROI. And fourth, the data is starting to back it up. Wellness oriented developments are showing much stronger occupancy. And that's why those statistics that you've already mentioned, Charles, with in the billions, they've got lower turnover, resilient pricing in markets where standard inventory has just fallen flat.
Right. I mean, we're seeing 10 to 25% premium just for the wellness sort of, accoutrements, the wellness packaging, all of it. It's definitely a premium. People are staying longer. People are seeking it out and not accepting imitations, right? You have to have these things. This is like your health. This is your well-being. This is more important than anything. And that's starting to materialize in the sort of investment side. So that's where we're seeing the dollars flow for sure. And I think that's, that's a critical that's a critical piece of this. But let's get down to kind of the nitty gritty. When somebody says, I want wellness, I want to be in a wellness focused community or wellness focused property, what do they actually mean?
Well, it's usually less about the features and more about the feel, right? When we listen carefully, buyers tend to describe the same set of priorities. A home that feels calm, right? They want to slow down. They want the hustle and bustle to kind of be left behind. They want light, a lot of natural light. They don't want to have to turn a lot of switches on and have the light bulbs going. They want clean air. They want low noise. They don't want to hear the club thumping in the lobby, okay? And they want low clutter, easy access to nature, water, trails, parks, mountains, a walkable everyday life. It's nice to jump in a golf cart and go places, but that's also why so much of us in the US have weight issues, because we tend to ride everywhere, right? And so if you have a walkable every day of life to get to the cafe, the markets, you have friends within reach, a climate that supports being outside most of the year, a community where they can plug in and not just visit, and a property they can actually use, not just a place they own. Notice how a few of those are about square footages and finishes, right? This is a major shift, and it's not about price per square foot, and it's not about quartz countertops or sub-zero appliances. It is a major shift from the high end of the market that we used to talk about. And it changes which countries, which neighborhoods, and which developments rise to the top of buyers' lists very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you gave me sort of a nightmare flashback with the nightclub scenario, because I've lived that before here in San Diego, and the gas lamp right next door to the, Monday through Sunday nightclub going. So I know what you mean. But, a lot of what you're talking about is now being actively engineered into these properties, right? So there's things that are actually called longevity residences, right? So they've got on-site diagnostics, biometrics, concierge medicine, all on site. You don't have to leave. You don't have to go to the clinic. You don't have to go see anybody. It's all right there for you. I mean, there's some really big names and some really big projects coming out in that model. Like we have the Estate, which is Sam Nazarian, Tony Robbins. That's coming to St. Kitts, UK, Italy, Switzerland, Los Angeles. That's probably one of the biggest ones. Velvare in Park City, so you can ski in, ski out, but also see your doctor or clinician in the same breath. I mean, that's pretty wild. So it's happening, and it's happening in a big way. It's happening in smaller ways too. We have features like circadian lighting. We have really advanced air purification. We have hyperbaric chambers and soundproofing that are happening in places like New York City. So it feels like you're in a recording studio. All these things are, kind of taking a new trajectory, and they're, as you said, replacing sort of the chef's kitchen and some of the other kind of classic signals of luxury for more like wellness based feeling amenities. Four Seasons Telluride coming out with in-home oxygenation that makes you feel like you're at, you're not at elevation, you're at ground level, so you don't get tired, you don't wake up, huffing and puffing in the middle of the night. And our partners, Damak, our awesome partners in Dubai, they have, the 7 pools of hot, cold, mud, salt kind of laid out at their Sheik Tower property. They've got a bunch of that stuff also. You can find that on the Airdomo site. So it's, it's all being built in, and and as you said, it's being seen everywhere in all kinds of countries all over the world. So with any trend like this, though, we got to kind of like look at what we're looking at and say, like, what's marketing, what's real, what should I be looking at that's that might be separate from the marketing language? What are the kind of true signals that I'm getting the right thing here?
Well, and that absolutely matters, because there's a real wellness premium being charged out there, and not all of it is earned. Okay. So a few buyers can look at, is the design intentional or is it cosmetic, right? Real wellness properties show it in a layout, materials, and air and light, not just the yoga studio in the lobby. Okay. You can't put in the lat pole and say you're a wellness resort. You can't put in a yoga studio and say you're a wellness resort. Okay. So what does the location actually support? You can't engineer your way around polluted air, traffic, or no nature within reach. Okay. So how is the community operated day to day? Programming, staff, culture matters as much as architecture does. What are residents actually doing? Talk to people who are already living there and not just in the sales office. I tend to love to go onto social media and see where people have visited these places to see, are these classes really going on? Are these retreats really happening? Does the price reflect a premium for real outcomes or just for the language? And if a property can answer all these clearly and specifically, it's usually the real thing. But if the answers are vague or feature driven, you're likely paying a marketing premium for a label. And that happens quite often.
Yeah, and that you made me think of a conversation I had just last week with a cardiologist who's actually also a broker who works closely with developers to bring these types of communities to market, and he said, it's really about control of your environment, right? Are your air that you're breathing, the water you're drinking, the noise, are these things within your control to make it, a comfortable environment that is conducive to your overall well-being, more so than just a long list of features? Does it holistically create this environment for you? So I think that's a really strong point to be watching for that overall sense of wellness that you can derive from it.
100%. Absolutely. And for everyone that has watched here today, obviously, hopefully you're watching every single week, because we are bringing you such valuable content, and hopefully you're going on to airdomo.com to look for that next property of opportunity that actually is going to support how you want to live, because this is exactly what we host there on Airdomo. It's what Airdomo was built for. On airdomo.com, you can explore wellness-oriented properties in communities across the globe, from Portugal to Greece to Costa Rica, Bali, and beyond. And if you'd like personal guidance, we would be happy to meet with you, either one of us. We want to book a call with you. So go on there and click the button and book a concierge call. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Go to YouTube and like us. And Charles, thank you for coming out from behind the scenes and being forward facing, so that now everybody knows the co-founder.
Oh, now I've got a taste of it. You're going to see me all the time now.
Every week now. He's addicted, folks. I love it. Well, this was your first webinar, and I think you did amazing. And
awesome. Thank you for having me on. It's been a lot of fun, and look forward to having conversations with everybody out there. If you got, the itch to start exploring around the globe, we are here to talk with you. I'm excited to do it.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.